A good rainy Tuesday to everyone. Welcome into today's daily Bible reading for December the 6th. Today we're reading together from Proverbs 19. Proverbs 19. We have just a few more. Let's see here. 19, 20, 21, and part of 22. We have about 3.5 more chapters or sections here in Proverbs that are going to be focusing in on these short sentence sayings of wisdom. And then once we get to chapter 22 and verse 17 or so, we're going to have a few chapters of more of the type of format that we saw at the beginning of the book, the first 9 chapters or so. And then once we get to chapter 27, it's going to transition back to the one sentence sayings of wisdom. So we have a little variety coming up here. We'll get back to some more of the lengthier discussion of these quick little clips that we've been looking at so far. But here in chapter 19, there is, as always, some good nuggets of wisdom for us. Let's read those together, and we'll consider those for today. So beginning here in chapter 19, verse number 1, better a poor person who lives with integrity than someone who has deceitful lips and is a fool. Even zeal is not good without knowledge, and the one who acts hastily sins. A person's own foolishness leads him astray, yet his heart rages against the Lord. Wealth attracts many friends, but a poor person is separated from his friends. A false witness will go unpunished, and the one who utters lies will not escape. A false witness will not go unpunished, and the one who utters lies will not escape. Many seek a ruler's favor, and everyone is a friend of one who gives gifts. All the brothers of a poor person hate him. How much more do his friends keep their distance from him? He may pursue them with words, but they are not there. The one who acquires good sense loves himself, but one who safeguards understanding finds success. A false witness will not go unpunished, and the one who utters lies perishes. Luxury is not appropriate for a fool, how much less for a slave to rule over princes. A person's insight gives him patience, and his virtue is to overlook an offense. A king's rage is like the roaring of a lion, but his favor is like dew on the grass. A foolish son is his father's ruin, and a wife's nagging is an endless dripping. A house and wealth are inherited from fathers, but a prudent wife is from the Lord. Laziness induces deep sleep, and a lazy person will go hungry. The one who keeps commands preserves himself. The one who disregards his ways will die. Kindness to the poor is a loan to the Lord, and he will give a reward to the lender. Discipline your son while there is hope. Don't set your heart on being the cause of his death. Verse 19, a person with intense anger bears the penalty. If you rescue him, you'll have to do it again. Listen to counsel and receive instruction so that you may be wiser later in life. Many plans are in a person's heart, but the Lord's decree will prevail. What is desirable in a person is his fidelity. Better to be a poor person than a liar. The fear of the Lord leads to life. One will sleep at night without danger. The slacker buries his hand in the bowl. He doesn't even bring it back to his mouth. Strike a mocker, and the inexperienced will learn a lesson. Rebuke the discerning, and he gains knowledge. The one who plunders his father and evicts his mother is a disgraceful and shameful son. If you stop listening to correction, my son, you will stray from the words of knowledge. A worthless witness mocks justice, and a wicked mouth swallows iniquity. Judgments are prepared for mockers, and beatings for the backs of fools. And that is Proverbs 19. All right, so my top 3 for today, we're going to begin up here with verse number 2. even zeal is not good without knowledge. The one who acts hastily sins. Zeal is excitement. Zeal is passion. Zeal is fervor for something. And we would normally say that those who are zealous, those who are passionate, those who are excited about a thing, that's a good thing. And generally, that is a good thing, to be passionate and zealous for something. But to do so without knowledge, that's where we get into trouble. And I think Paul actually talks about that. Paul talks about that in the New Testament, speaking about the Jews, that the Jews were zealous for their God. They were passionate about their God, yet they did so without knowledge. And that led them to rejecting Jesus as the Messiah, as his son on the earth. That was obviously problematic. So here, the idea is you need to be passionate. Passion is good, yes, but that passion needs to be directed and controlled by knowledge. We need to have informed passion, not disinformed or uninformed passion. We don't need to have ignorant passion, because the text says the one who acts hastily sins. So the one who has passion but doesn't know how to direct that passion, doesn't know how to use that passion well, we're going to end up getting into trouble. It's going to be passion, it's going to be zealous. But if we don't know how to direct that passion appropriately, then we get ourselves into trouble. So that's on number one here. Verse number 2, even zeal is not good without knowledge. The one who acts hastily sins. Well, number 2 for today is actually verse number 3. A person's own foolishness leads him astray, yet his heart rages against the Lord. This is a person who, based upon their own poor decision making, gets themselves into trouble. They end up suffering some sort of consequence. And yet, instead of considering that it was their actions that led to the trouble, they want to blame God. They want to say that God was the issue. It's God's fault that all these things are happening. His heart rages against the Lord. It's God's fault that I'm suffering. It's God's fault that I don't have good things. And they never consider that it's their own decision-making that is getting them into this situation. Why? Because they're fools. A person's own foolishness leads them astray. And that's the thing about fools. Fools get themselves into trouble, and then they don't know why they got into trouble. And that leads them to blaming other people than those who are actually responsible for the trouble. They want to blame God instead of blaming themselves. So we need to think, number one, if we want to avoid this altogether, we need to live by the wisdom of God. We need to live by his knowledge. We don't need to be fools. But let's just say we make a mistake. We don't need to look around and blame other people. We need to get to the source of the matter. Who's the one that made the decisions? Well, that's me. I made the poor decision. I didn't do what was right. I didn't listen to God's wisdom. I listened to my own foolishness, and that got me into trouble. I don't need to blame God for that. I need to look to where the responsibility actually lies, and that responsibility lies with me. I need to be accountable for my actions. I need to be smart to begin with, to choose the way of wisdom. But if I don't, I need to recognize that I made that choice, and I don't need to try to lay that blame at the feet of God. So that's my number 2 for today, is verse number 3. A person's own foolishness leads him astray, yet his heart rages against the Lord. All right, and then my number 3 for today is verse 23. The fear of the Lord leads to life. One will sleep at night without danger. You know, think about those who live really wild lives. They normally don't sleep very good. Why? Because there's a conscience within all of us, even if it's been seared very strongly by continued poor decision making. Conscience can still get to us. But as well, there is this reality that whenever you live a wild life and you surround yourself with wild people who don't have very strong consciences, who don't live by good morals, who don't have solid standards, and those type of people, don't be shocked whenever they try to get you. So the living without a fear of the Lord causes us to fear everything else. And if your heart is feeling fearful, then yeah, it's probably going to be hard to sleep. It's going to be hard to sleep and to actually get rest in that state. But if we fear the Lord, if we follow him, if we trust him, if we dedicate our lives to serving him, then we have no need to fear anything else. That doesn't mean bad things won't happen. That doesn't mean that bad people won't be bad people and that we might even suffer for that. but it means that the one who keeps us is greater than any danger we might face. And even if that danger might overtake us in this life, it will not overtake us in an eternal sense. For we fear the Lord. And fear the Lord, as we've noted a number of times, is the beginning of wisdom, leads us to knowledge. But here the text also informs us that the fear of the Lord leads to life. If we fear the Lord, we have the life that he offers. We can sleep without danger and without fearing anything else. We can enjoy rest at night, knowing that God keeps us in the palm of his hand. Those are my top three today. Verse number 2, even zeal is not good without knowledge, and the one who acts hastily sins. Verse number 3, a person's own foolishness leads him astray, yet his heart rages against the Lord. And finally, verse 23, the fear of the Lord leads to life. One will sleep at night without danger. Those are my top three for today. Excuse me, and I appreciate so much the interactions that I've had with some of you on Facebook and YouTube. Some of the comments that you've left have really been encouraging to me. It shows that you've really been thinking about these things, and I really appreciate that. I appreciate the time that you give to reading along with me and thinking upon these texts and meditating upon them with me as well. Thank you so much. I know Jackie's made some good comments. Glenda's made some good comments. I appreciate those really, really much. And for today as well, there's something else that stood out to you within this text. Please feel free to leave that in the comments section, and we'd love to interact in that way as well. Let me encourage you to mention it on Sunday, but please be praying for Emma Wade's niece, Lisa Poovey, who's going to be having brain surgery tomorrow at Vanderbilt, I believe it is, in Nashville. Please be praying for her, praying that things go as well as they can. Again, thanks for tuning in, and have a great Tuesday, everyone. We'll be back at it again tomorrow, reading from Proverbs 20. Take care.